A former Universal Champion has made their WWE return, but first, is this WWE Hall of Famer set to join AEW? Throughout the past week or so, a ton of speculation is surrounding the future of WWE Hall of Famer Edge, who was reportedly set to wrestle his last ever match this past Friday on SmackDown. However, after his win over Sheamus on the Blue brand, Edge would confirm that he has likely worked his last match in his hometown of Toronto, although he remains uncertain if he'll be hanging up his boots for good. Before we get to what could be next for him, let's first go to an interview on Sportsnet's The Fan Morning Show, where Edge would discuss some details regarding his contract with WWE. Whilst we know that he's worked his last match on the deal, it appears that he is technically still under contract until the end of next month. That's if his claim is to be believed. When talking about a possible retirement, the Rated R superstar would say, "I mean, I can't say I haven't thought about it, I have for sure, but I realise that I haven't come to any conclusions, and I'm kind of torn honestly, because I don't want to do this to the point where I don't feel like I'm able to have the output that I want. That's why I really want to collect myself after this thing, take just a big old deep breath, and just decide what that is. My contract is up at the end of September, this is my last contracted match, so I have a lot of decisions to make, but I can't do it now." Now let's turn our attention to a very interesting article that hit Fightful Select last night that revealed the internal feeling regarding the potential for Edge to sign for AEW when his deal is over. Whilst the report revealed that we won't see Edge in All Elite Wrestling, we could well see Adam Copeland in the company, with the ring name of course being trademarked by WWE. Fightful would report that there are many in AEW that feel the move could happen, and they would write, "There are many in AEW that think Copeland coming in could be a real possibility. Those close to him claimed earlier this year that the idea of him working in AEW isn't as out there as you'd think. Obviously, Edge is close with Christian, but also Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, who helped him prepare for his in-ring return." It should be noted that a lot of people in AEW also believe that Edge's match with Sheamus is going to be his last, with opinions seemingly split at this point. Regarding his WWE contract, it's still unknown if Copeland's claim of a September expiry date is actually true, and Fightful would add, "To be clear, we've not confirmed that is actually the case, and if it is the last match, it doesn't necessarily mean the contract is or isn't up. For example, Goldberg's deal extended well beyond the last match he had contracted." Also, Edge has been known to work on Twitter, specifically when he made vague claims in 2019 that he wasn't cleared and wasn't returning to the ring. WWE sources did indicate that Edge had time on his deal added due to injury, but sources close to Edge haven't confirmed this. If the date is in fact true, this would mean an appearance at AEW All in London and All Out in Chicago is ruled out, although again, he could well be working us much like he did shortly before his return to the ring. Just weeks before his WWE return at Royal Rumble 2020, Edge would take to Twitter to say he isn't cleared to compete, which obviously turned out to not be true, so it's hard to say if his words are to keep things a surprise or not, although we won't know until we actually see something materialize. The Fightful report would also confirm that it was AEW being interested in signing Edge back in 2019 that led to a series of events that led to his eventual WWE return, as talks with Tony Khan would lead to a discussion with Vince McMahon, who wanted an Edge return to happen in a WWE ring instead. This then led to WWE setting up meetings with doctors to get him cleared. What we do know about Edge's immediate future is that he's been announced for the upcoming episode of WWE The Bump, which streams on Peacock, YouTube, and many other social media platforms. Perhaps a sign that his claim of being under contract until September is actually true. Next up, a huge match has been added to the AEW All in London card. Let's get to the events of last night's episode of AEW Collision then, a show that opened up with an expected match between ROH Television Champion Samoa Joe and an apparent jobber named the Golden Vampire. The masked rookie would be dressed head to toe in gold as he awaited the Samoan submission machine to make his entrance. However, before Joe could enter the ring, the man in gold would jumpstart an attack on his opponent, striking him as he stood on the apron. The assault would continue back into the ring before Vampire hit a familiar looking corner knee lift, before wiping the Samoan out with a GTS, shades of a certain straight edge superstar. Of course, it all turned out to be a ruse, as the man would remove his mask to reveal that he was in fact CM Punk, somebody Joe has been calling out for a match at Wembley Stadium in recent weeks. Punk would then state that he accepts the challenge before leaving the ring. The bout is now the 9th match to be confirmed for the show, including the 0 Hour, future, with the card now beginning to take shape in its final form. But who do you think leaves AEW All In as the winner between CM Punk and Samoa Joe? Let me know in the comments down below. And next, a match has been confirmed for AEW All Out. 1 week after All In London, All Elite Wrestling will return to the United Center in Chicago for All Out, with them set to hold 2 pay-per-views in the space of 1 week. Whilst we've seen many matches announced for the London show, we've only seen 1 bout added to the Chicago card, at least until last night. On Collision, Powerhouse Hobbs would make quick work of surprisingly popular enhancement talent Kevin Koo, with him securing a pinfall in less than 2 minutes. However, this wasn't the end of the night for Powerhouse, as he would lock his opponent in a game-over submission, a move that belongs to his new rival, Miro. The Bulgarian would then appear on the big screen to officially accept a recent challenge made by Hobbs for a match between the 2 big men, with the Redeemer looking for redemption in the second city. The match has officially been added to the All Out card alongside the AEW TNT Championship match between Luchasaurus and Darby Allin. And next, where were FTR on AEW Collision? Heading into the Saturday night show, there was a ton of anticipation for an announced segment involving AEW Tag Team Champions FTR, this following the news that the duo would be appearing on the show to speak. Much of the anticipation was due to the recent news that Cash Wheeler was arrested this week, with fans wondering if the incident would be addressed on screen. As the show ticked along, however, the champions were nowhere to be seen, with it currently being unclear as to exactly why. It's unknown if the segment was in fact scrapped, or if the graphic released was simply to hype up a brief video package that was shown. With that said, we should be seeing Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler in the arena this Wednesday night on Dynamite, with them currently scheduled to meet their All In London challengers, the Young Bucks, in a face-to-face interview. That is, unless this is backstage or a pre-recorded segment. And next, a wrestling legend's daughter has made her singles debut. Last night at an NXT live event in Tampa, Florida, Ava, the daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, marked a significant milestone in her wrestling journey, with her making her in-ring singles debut at the show. Going one-on-one against Ivy Nile, Ava secured a victory aided by Schism stablemate Joe Gacy and his distraction. The 22-year-old rookie's journey began in 2020 when she joined WWE and underwent training at the Performance Center, with her overcoming multiple knee surgeries since, having established herself as a regular on NXT television, with the match at the non-televised live event showcasing her progress. The bout comes just days before the Heatwave episode of NXT that will feature Ava's official TV in-ring singles debut, where she will once again face off with Ivy Nile, with the live event perhaps being a sign of things to come when it comes to the victor on the night. And next up, 2 WWE stars are launching a podcast. WWE superstars Zelina Vega and Dakota Kai are set to enter the world of podcasting with their new show, Zelvex, and Charlie Girl, centered around the world of video games. Vega announced the upcoming podcast on Instagram last night, inviting fans to subscribe for updates, with them starting a YouTube channel which has already surpassed 3,000 subscribers before an upload has dropped. While Vega continues to perform in the ring, Kai is recovering from a torn ACL, though despite her injury, she returned at WWE SummerSlam. Next up is this former WWE champion set to return. Next month, WWE are making their return to India, with them set to hold the second ever Superstar Spectacle show in the nation. So far, no matches have been announced for the show, although one current WWE superstar hopes to see a former world champion return for the occasion. Speaking with Sportskeeda this week, Natalya would open up about the potential return of India's largest superstar, the Great Khali, and she would say, "Oh, I would love for the Great Khali to come back. He's a very good friend of mine, he's beloved in India, and he's also a WWE Hall of Famer, but he's so special and he's such a special person, and you think about the work he's done in WWE and the work he's done in Hollywood." The Punjabi playboy would become a staple of WWE throughout the late 2000s and 2010s, with his last appearance taking place in the Greatest Royal Rumble match in Saudi Arabia in April 2018. He has since been inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021, with him perhaps the ideal candidate to draw attention to WWE's upcoming Indian show. And next, an AEW star wants a best of 7 series with this top tag team. On the August 9 episode of AEW Dynamite, Matt and Jeff Hardy would once again find themselves across the ring from the Young Bucks, with Matt and Nick Jackson eventually securing the win. The two teams have a long history together, stemming back to their days in Ring of Honor, with this being the first time they've wrestled since Jeff Hardy's return to AEW. Speaking on his Extreme Life podcast this week, Matt Hardy would discuss he and his brother's chemistry with the Bucks and said, "I enjoyed the match and Jeff is kind of finding his confidence once again. He's kind of navigating his way back to a very confident brother Nero. He was happy with it and I was happy. Everybody was happy with it. It ended up being a big success at the end of the day and I loved that match. I love dancing with the Young Bucks. Anytime we get in the ring with them, it's just an absolute pleasure. We have great chemistry and I feel like every time we get in the ring, we make magic happen. I just feel like there's so much stuff we can do with a team like the Young Bucks where it's just so easy. Working with those guys, it's not complicated, it's not difficult." Matt would conclude by hoping that the Hardys and the Bucks can meet in a best of 5 or best of 7 series in the future. But what do you think? Do you want to see a long series between the two teams? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, could a war of the Bullet Club sub-factions be on the horizon? At AEW All In London, the Golden Elites Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi and Hangman Page will take on Jay White and Juice Robinson of Bullet Club Gold, as well as Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, the Elite would originally spawn as a sub-faction of Bullet Club, a group that still continues to this day in New Japan Pro-Wrestling, with BCG also having obvious roots in the popular group. Current leader of NJPW's Bullet Club is David Finlay, who would speak with Fightful this week where he discussed his thoughts on Bullet Club Gold and the Elite. He would claim that AEW's version of the group is Jay White's attempt to stay relevant and said, "I think that one in particular is Jay White doing everything he can to stay relevant going over to a new company. Same with Juice, doing whatever they can to stay in the spotlight, taking up those gun boys, doing whatever that is. I don't watch a lot of it, to tell you the truth. I think it's kind of phony baloney bullshit, to tell you the truth. The only real Bullet Club is the one that's in New Japan and it's held by David Finlay. That's the reason for the Bullet Club. The idea of the Bullet Club is off foreigners who wanted to take over and make a mark for themselves in Japan, and that's exactly what we, the War Dogs, are." Clark would then state that even the OC in WWE isn't a real Bullet Club before declaring that it was the Elite that ruined the faction. They would say, "The Elite, whatever they think of us, the Bullet Club, in my opinion, truthfully, they ruined the Bullet Club. Those guys made it into something that was cool for a bunch of otaku nerds and gets them involved and gets them excited, but realistically, that's not what the Bullet Club is. It's not going home and playing video games after work, you know? It's not being friends with all the Japanese audience after the fact. No, it's going out and kicking ass, dude, doing what you want. I'm happy they're not around because we got the real Bullet Club in New Japan, the War Dogs." The continued perceived heat between the sub-factions of the group could potentially lead to something in the future, perhaps at Forbidden Door, although for now the Elite and Bullet Club Gold continue their war of words heading into Wembley Stadium in 7 days' time. And next, a current WWE superstar has their eye on an all-time record. Ric Flair is one of the most decorated champions in wrestling history, with his 16 reigns with the world title becoming one of the most infamous records in the sport. Now retired, Ric's legacy in the squared circle is continued by his daughter Charlotte Flair, who was recognized by WWE as a 14-time champion, 2 behind her dad. During an interview with Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, Charlotte would declare that she will be the one to break the record and said, "I'm breaking the record, I'm so close. For so long I stayed away from discussing it, but I've done every single thing there is to do, and this is my next goal. I want to keep getting better and see where I can take this character. That wasn't a goal, it just happened along the way." Right now, John Cena finds himself level with Ric Flair's 16-time world championships, although due to his lack of time in the ring these days, Charlotte is seemingly the most likely candidate to make history. Next up, a former Universal Champion has made their WWE return. Now let's jump back to this past Friday's taping of WWE SmackDown that went down at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Canada. After the show came to a close, there would be a dark match for the audience in attendance that saw an injured WWE WWE superstar make their return to the ring. The match would see Drew McIntyre team up with Canadian duo Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, with this being KO's first match since July 17, having been sidelined from in-ring action since. The trio would find themselves across the ring from Imperium's Gunther, Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser, with the babyfaces win sending the fans home happy. The exact same match would also take place last night at a WWE live event in Ottawa, Ontario, confirming that Owens is now in fact ready to return to the road. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 facts that MJF doesn't want you to know.